The cold stars of the Epsilon sector glimmered like distant diamonds in the black void. Humanity's colonies were scattered across hundreds of worlds, each one a fragile outpost of civilization. On the surface of Nova Lyra, a mining planet rich in rare metals, life seemed quiet. The settlers worked hard, their children played in dusty streets, and the human spirit thrived in spite of the harsh environment. But peace is always fragile, and tonight it was about to shatter. From the darkness, a fleet of Galactic Empire ships emerged. Their black hulls absorbed starlight, making them invisible until they were already upon the planet. The ships moved silently, precise as predators, and their sudden arrival struck panic into the hearts of the colonists. Alarms blared across Nova Lyra, but no one could stop what was coming. In one swift move, the Empire's landing crafts touched down near the central settlement. Soldiers in sleek armor disembarked, weapons glowing with energy. They moved like shadows, taking every human by surprise. In minutes, resistance was crushed and several families were captured. Among them were 5 women, each heavy with child. Their screams echoed through the metal corridors of the Empire ships, but no one heard them. They were valuable prisoners, and the Empire's interest in them was far from ordinary. The leader of the raid, a tall figure in a black cloak with a mask that reflected the stars, watched the chaos with cold eyes. "Take them alive. The Empire wants their offspring for study," he said, his voice low and commanding. He did not see them as humans. To him, they were commodities, parts of a cruel experiment. As the women were escorted onto the main ship, fear filled their hearts. They exchanged silent looks, drawing courage from each other, even though they knew they were far from safety. Mara, the eldest, gritted her teeth. "We will survive this. Somehow we will survive." Her words were soft, almost lost in the din of the ship, but they were enough to spark a flicker of hope. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, whispers of a legend began to stir. In the outer colonies and on Earth, there were stories of Baba Yaga, the American Boogeyman. Some said she was a ghost, others a soldier so clever and ruthless that no enemy could survive her. To the Galactic Empire, she was a myth, a story told to scare children. But to humanity, she was a promise, a symbol that even in the darkest hour, humans could fight back. In the quiet control room of a small colony ship orbiting a nearby moon, Lieutenant Jackson Holt stared at the incoming transmission from Nova Lyra. His face was grim. The Empire had struck again. "They've taken them. 5 pregnant women," he said, his voice trembling with anger. "We have to do something." A senior officer shook her head. "We are too weak. The Empire's fleets are too strong. Any attack now would be suicide." Jackson's hands clenched. "We are humans. We adapt, we survive. The Empire underestimates us." His words hung in the room, heavy with determination. Somewhere deep in humanity's collective spirit, a spark was lighting. Back aboard the Empire ship, the 5 women were confined in separate quarters. The rooms were bare, cold, and sterile, designed to strip them of comfort and hope. The Empire scientists who monitored them were methodical, cold, and unfeeling. They ran scans, injected sedatives, and asked questions that no human could answer. But even in fear, the women resisted. Lena, a nurse from Mars, whispered to herself, "We are not theirs. We will not be theirs." Her words were quiet, but they were a small act of rebellion, a refusal to surrender completely. As the ship traveled through warp space toward the Empire's secret sector, the women noticed patterns in their captors' behavior. The guards followed strict routines, overconfident in their control. They believed humans were weak, predictable, and obedient. They did not know that humanity had always thrived on the impossible. Outside the ship, in the endless void of space, something stirred. Baba Yaga had sensed the disturbance. On a remote asteroid base, she prepared. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, scanned through stolen Empire schematics. Every patrol route, every weak point, every flaw was logged in her mind. She did not move yet, but her plan had already begun. Humans did not rush blindly into danger. They struck when the moment was right. Back inside the Empire flagship, the 5 women shared small moments of courage, even when apart. Mara drew invisible pictures on the walls with her fingers, imagining her unborn child's future. Lena hummed soft tunes from Earth, a melody that reminded her of home. Aisha, a farmer from the Outer Rim, prayed silently for strength. Each of them, in their own way, resisted the Empire, not with weapons but with the unbreakable human spirit. Meanwhile, the Empire believed it was in control. Its fleet cruised through uncharted space, confident that nothing could stop them. Yet they did not account for something fundamental. Humans never give up. Humans are unpredictable, clever, and relentless. As the flagship entered the sector where the Empire conducted secret experiments, the first signs of rebellion were already being felt. Drones that had never failed suddenly malfunctioned. Security doors locked and unlocked without reason. Logs disappeared, leaving gaps in the Empire's perfect record. Something or someone was inside their systems. Something they could not see, predict, or control. In the middle of the flagship, Mara and the others began to notice small but strange events. Lights flickered at precise moments. Sensors failed briefly. Guards stumbled into walls or collided with each other. It was subtle, but it gave them hope. They were not alone. Someone was coming for them. The Empire commander, sensing that something was wrong, tightened security, but he did not know what he faced. He did not know that humanity had unleashed a force that did not rely on superior technology or brute power. Humanity's greatest weapon was cleverness, courage, and the will to fight for life itself. In the shadows of the outer corridor, Baba Yaga prepared her first move. Using stealth suits, hacked drones, and clever misdirection, she began to infiltrate the Empire's systems. Her presence was invisible yet terrifying. Every officer she bypassed, every system she manipulated was a reminder that humans were not to be underestimated. The women sensed it too. They could not see her, could not hear her, but they felt it. A strange calm in the chaos, a sense that someone powerful was coming. Mara whispered again, more firmly this time, "We will survive this, and they will regret underestimating us." As the Empire flagship moved deeper into unknown space, unaware of the coming storm, humanity's first strike was already in motion. Baba Yaga, the American Boogeyman, had begun her legendary hunt. The stars themselves seemed to whisper her name, carrying hope to every human colony that even in the darkest night, no one could crush the human spirit. The black void of space stretched endlessly, but humanity never waited for chance, they created it. On a hidden asteroid base far from the Empire's patrol routes, Baba Yaga moved silently. Her suit absorbed the dim light, blending her into the shadows. Every movement was precise, calculated, and deliberate. She did not rush. She did not panic. Humanity never did. Before her, a holographic map of the Empire's fleet hovered in the air, flickering with data stolen from spies and hackers across human colonies. The 5 pregnant women were inside the flagship, each guarded with high-tech security measures. It was a fortress, built to hold prisoners and crush resistance. But Baba Yaga smiled. Fortresses, she knew, were only walls, and humans could always find the cracks. Her first task was not to storm the ship, but to outsmart it. Using hacked drones, she infiltrated the Empire's surveillance systems. Lights flickered across the corridors of the flagship. Security cameras went blank at precise moments. Guards found doors locked and unlocked unpredictably, creating confusion. Humanity's strategy had always been clever: confuse, divide, and conquer. Meanwhile, on a human colony orbiting a nearby star, scientists worked feverishly to understand the Empire's technology. Jackson Holt coordinated the effort. His eyes, tired but sharp, scanned multiple holograms. "They underestimate us," he said. "We have the advantage. They think humans are predictable. They are wrong." The Empire, confident in its power, did not know the first strike had already begun. Their soldiers patrolled corridors mechanically, unaware that every sensor, every drone, every system had a flaw. Baba Yaga exploited each one with patience. No unnecessary risks. Every step brought her closer to the captives. Back on the flagship, the 5 women began to sense the subtle changes. Mara noticed a guard walking past her door, then pausing awkwardly, looking around confused. Lena heard a faint hum, not part of the ship's normal sound. Aisha noticed lights flicker, not once but repeatedly in a strange rhythm. It was subtle, almost invisible, but it gave them hope. Humanity's presence was near, and hope was dangerous to the Empire. In the command room of the flagship, the Empire's officers grew uneasy. Alarms began to sound. Small anomalies multiplied across the ship. Data logs disappeared. Security doors malfunctioned. The commander shouted orders, but his voice sounded hollow. "Check the systems. Find the intruder." The officers panicked. They had never experienced this. Technology had always obeyed them. Soldiers had always obeyed them. But now humans were unpredictable. Humans did not wait for orders. They acted, they adapted, and they survived. Baba Yaga moved like a ghost through the ship. She did not use weapons unnecessarily. Instead, she used misdirection. A corridor sealed itself, trapping several guards. A transport drone crashed into a patrol vehicle, scattering soldiers. Every small victory created larger chaos. The Empire's confidence faltered. Meanwhile, the 5 women began to plan quietly. Though separated, they communicated through small signals, tapping on walls, whispering coded words, drawing patterns in the condensation of the cold metal. They shared their fears and their determination. Each woman carried hope not just for herself, but for her unborn child. The children represented the future of humanity, and humans never gave up on their future. On the asteroid base, Baba Yaga received updates from human colonies. "We are ready," Jackson said over secure channels. "We can create diversions across the Empire fleet. You have the element of surprise." Baba Yaga nodded, though the command was not necessary. She had already anticipated their moves. The beauty of humans was their ability to combine intelligence, courage, and timing. A well-planned strike could cripple an Empire ship without firing a single shot. Inside the flagship, confusion spread. Guards argued, doors refused to open, drones flew in erratic patterns. It was as if the ship itself had turned against them. The Empire had technology, but humans had ingenuity and determination, which was far more dangerous. Baba Yaga reached the first holding chamber. Using a simple device, she disabled the security lock silently. Mara's eyes widened as the door opened. For the first time in hours, she felt hope. You're here to help us?" she whispered. Baba Yaga crouched in the shadows. Her face was calm, unreadable. "We don't have time for questions," she said softly. "Follow my lead, stay quiet, and trust human instinct. We fight smart, not just hard." One by one, she moved through the ship, releasing the captives. Lena and Aisha followed cautiously, amazed by Baba Yaga's precision. Each movement was calculated, each step designed to avoid confrontation. Humans were not invincible, but they were clever, able to turn the Empire's strength into weakness. As they moved, small acts of rebellion spread across the ship. The women, inspired by Baba Yaga's presence, started improvising. Lena hacked minor consoles, opening doors for other prisoners. Aisha created diversions with alarms and fire suppression systems. Mara guided the others, remembering every corridor and security detail she had observed while imprisoned. Together, they were more than captives. They were part of a human network, a living example of resilience under pressure. The Empire's commander, now fully aware that something was wrong, ordered lockdowns across the ship. "Seal all sections. No one escapes," he barked, but it was too late. Baba Yaga had already infiltrated critical systems. Humans were unpredictable. Every attempt to contain them only made the chaos worse. In the corridors, soldiers tripped over malfunctioning equipment. Drones collided mid-flight. Alarms rang endlessly, yet no human was harmed. Baba Yaga had a single goal: rescue, not revenge. The Empire had enough technology to harm humans, but humans had enough cunning to survive and fight back. As they approached the main escape route, the 5 women marveled at their surroundings. Nothing was perfect. Lights flickered, metal walls groaned under strain, and energy shields hummed. But the imperfections were opportunities. Baba Yaga taught them how to use every weakness in their favor. Humans always adapt. Humans always survive. Finally, they reached the docking bay. The Empire fleet patrolled the area, but Baba Yaga had already hacked the defense systems. A transport ship waiting silently opened its doors. The 5 women stepped in, hearts pounding yet filled with determination. Humanity was not broken. Humanity was unleashed. The transport ship lifted off, the flagship's alarms echoing behind them. From the shadow of the asteroid base, Baba Yaga watched, unseen and untouchable. Her mission was far from over. But the first strike had succeeded. Humans had struck back, and the Empire had learned a dangerous truth. Humans fight smarter, faster, and harder than anyone expects. Jackson Holt watched the escape on the holographic display. "They're alive," he said, relief flooding his voice. "And they've seen the human spirit in action. This is only the beginning." As the flagship floundered in confusion, Baba Yaga's shadow disappeared into the ship's systems. The Empire had underestimated one thing: Humanity's cunning. Humans did not rely solely on weapons, armor, or numbers. Humans relied on courage, intelligence, and the willingness to fight for their own survival, and the survival of their future. The Galactic Empire had ruled the stars for centuries with fear, order, and overwhelming technology. Its fleets moved like unstoppable storms, crushing colonies and resistance alike. But now something had changed. Humanity had shown it could fight back, not with numbers or weapons, but with cunning, unpredictability, and sheer will. Inside the flagship, chaos reigned. Alarms blared across the control panels, drones collided, and soldiers argued about what to do next. The commander, a man who had faced countless rebellions and conquered worlds, could not believe the disorder. His voice echoed through the metal corridors, harsh and frustrated. "Secure all sections. Find the intruder." But there was no single intruder. Humanity's attack was not about brute force, it was about intelligence, coordination, and misdirection. Baba Yaga had vanished from their sensors, yet her presence was everywhere. Every system she touched failed in a way that left the Empire blind and confused. Meanwhile, the 5 women who had been rescued were safe for the moment, but their ordeal was far from over. As their transport ship moved toward a hidden human base, they witnessed the galaxy around them. Planets once silent were now stirring with activity. Colonists were beginning to resist. Wherever humans had been oppressed, whispers of rebellion spread like wildfire. Mara, sitting in the ship's small cabin, looked at the others. Her hand rested on her belly, feeling the life inside her. "We are not just surviving," she said softly. "We are part of something bigger, something the Empire never expected." Aisha nodded. "They think we are weak because we carry life. But they forget one thing. Life is powerful. Life fights back." The Empire commander, still struggling to regain control, convened his officers. His face was pale under the harsh lights. "We underestimated them," he admitted reluctantly. "Humans are unpredictable. Their tactics, their ingenuity. It's unlike anything we've faced." He remembered the reports. Corridors locked and unlocked without explanation. Drones failing mid-flight, soldiers tripping over equipment, and prisoners somehow manipulating systems from within. Every day brought more surprises. Every day the Empire's confidence cracked a little more. On one remote mining colony, hidden sensors detected a small fleet approaching. At first the Empire assumed it was a routine patrol. But then the fleet split, moving in ways that were impossible to predict. Human pilots executed maneuvers no training manual had ever taught. They struck, retreated, and reappeared where the Empire least expected. Humanity had begun to fight back in full. Back aboard the flagship, Baba Yaga was already planning her next move. The rescued women had reached the safety of a small human base orbiting a distant moon, but the Empire still held prisoners across its sectors. Baba Yaga did not act recklessly. Every step, every attack was calculated. Her reputation as the American Boogeyman was not a myth. It was real, and it would grow stronger. She infiltrated the Empire's communication networks next. Using clever codes and hacked signals, she spread false intelligence across the fleet. Reports of attacks, ambushes, and uprisings appeared everywhere. The Empire's officers wasted resources chasing shadows. Ships were rerouted, patrols doubled, and yet the humans were always one step ahead. The psychological impact was devastating. Soldiers who once feared nothing now hesitated. Commanders questioned their decisions. The fleet, once a symbol of ultimate power, now moved like a trapped animal, cautious and anxious. Humanity had turned fear against them. Meanwhile, the 5 women became symbols of hope. News of their survival spread across human colonies faster than any Empire broadcast could suppress. Children whispered their names in awe. Workers and miners discussed them with excitement. Even scientists and engineers, often quiet and focused on work, felt inspired. Humanity's courage and resilience were contagious. Inside the flagship, the commander grew desperate. "Increase security! We cannot let this continue," he shouted. But every measure he implemented seemed to fail. Doors malfunctioned, surveillance showed ghost movements, and soldiers reported seeing figures moving where no one should be. It was as if the ship itself had turned against him. Baba Yaga's strategy was simple yet brilliant. She did not confront the Empire head-on. Instead, she turned the Empire's own technology against them. Sensors became blind spots. Security drones became distractions. Automated doors and defense systems created traps for the Empire's own soldiers. Every system designed to enforce control now worked in favor of humans. At the same time, small acts of rebellion grew into coordinated strikes across multiple sectors. Human colonies sabotaged Empire supply lines, freed prisoners, and broadcast messages of defiance. Wherever the Empire tried to maintain order, humans disrupted it, not with overwhelming force, but with clever, precise actions that left the Empire confused and frustrated. Back on the human base, the rescued women met with Jackson Holt and other leaders of the resistance. Maps of the galaxy flickered in the room, showing Imperial patrols, hidden colonies, and potential targets for future strikes. Mara, Lena, and Aisha listened intently. "We have seen how clever humans can be," Mara said. "Now we must use that cleverness to protect the future, not just ourselves." Jackson nodded. "Exactly. Humanity has always survived against impossible odds, and now we are learning to fight as one. We are unpredictable, relentless, and intelligent. The Empire cannot control us anymore." Meanwhile, on the flagship, the commander realized the full scale of the problem. His fleet, once feared across the galaxy, was in chaos. Reports of uprising, sabotage, and infiltration poured in from multiple sectors. His officers were exhausted, confused, and afraid. Humanity had created a nightmare for the Empire, one they could not escape, one they could not predict. Baba Yaga moved silently across the flagship once again. Her figure was a shadow among shadows, her movements precise and deliberate. She left no trace, yet every action she took amplified the Empire's panic. Soldiers stumbled over obstacles she had created. Security systems locked officers out of critical rooms. Even the flagship's AI seemed confused by her presence. In one corridor, a group of soldiers cornered what they thought was an intruder. When they opened the door, there was nothing, only a small note scrawled in the metal. "Humans survive. Humans fight. Beware the Boogeyman." It was a simple message, but it carried a warning that would haunt the Empire for years to come. As the days passed, the Empire's nightmare grew. Every colony liberated or disrupted by humans inspired another. Every failed attempt to regain control deepened the fear within the ranks. Soldiers who had been confident, proud, and ruthless began to question their mission. Humanity had turned fear into a weapon, one more powerful than lasers or warships. Back on the human base, Baba Yaga debriefed the 5 women and the resistance leaders. "The Empire will adapt," she said, her voice calm but firm. "But so will we. We are unpredictable. We are relentless, and we fight for life itself. That is something no empire can fully understand or control." The women nodded, understanding the truth in her words. They were no longer just victims. They were participants in a rebellion that would shape the future of humanity. Their courage, intelligence, and determination were now part of the larger force that would challenge the Empire's dominance. In the depths of space, the Empire continued to struggle. Its once perfect fleets were fractured, its soldiers fearful, and its commanders desperate. Humanity had unleashed something the Empire could not contain. A species that refused to be controlled, refused to be predicted, and refused to give up. And in the shadows, Baba Yaga prepared for the next phase. The 5 women had been rescued, but others still suffered under the Empire's rule. The time for bold, decisive action was approaching. Humanity was no longer just surviving. It was striking back, shaping the galaxy in its image. The legend of Baba Yaga, the American Boogeyman, grew with every strike. Soldiers whispered her name in fear. Colonies whispered it in hope. She was more than a hero. She was a symbol of human resilience, ingenuity, and the indomitable will to fight. The Empire had learned a harsh lesson. Humans were not predictable. Humans were not weak, and humans could never be fully controlled. The nightmare they faced was only beginning. And across the galaxy, every human who resisted, fought, or survived became a part of that nightmare. The battle for the stars was far from over, but humanity had shown one undeniable truth. Even in the face of overwhelming power, humans fight, humans adapt, and humans always find a way. The nightmare for the Empire had begun, and it would not end until humanity decided it had to. The Empire thought it had crushed humanity. Its soldiers patrolled the stars, its fleets spread across the sectors, and its prisons were meant to hold hope itself. But humanity had other plans. The 5 women rescued by Baba Yaga had returned to safety, and the spark of resistance had become a blazing fire. Now, the time had come for the next strike. the rescue of others still held by the Empire, and a demonstration that no human would be left behind. Baba Yaga stood in the command room of a hidden human base. Holomap projections of the Empire's fleet floated in mid-air. Red dots indicated prisoners scattered across several ships. Blue dots marked patrols, drones, and defense systems. Every piece of data was crucial. Baba Yaga's eyes scanned the projections with deadly precision. "We strike fast, we strike smart." "No one fights alone," she said. Her voice carried authority, calm and unshakable. Jackson Holt, coordinating from another room, nodded. "Every distraction we can create, we will. Supply lines, communications, patrols, they all falter under human ingenuity. Baba Yaga, your team is ready when you are." Baba Yaga assembled a small squad of elite human operatives. Each had proven themselves in previous skirmishes, and all had adapted to fighting against impossible odds. Their mission was clear: infiltrate the Empire's flagship and other vessels, rescue prisoners, and return without being detected, or if detected, leave chaos behind. Humans thrived in chaos. The squad's first target was the flagship where the Empire held the highest value prisoners. Baba Yaga led them silently through dark corridors of the asteroid base to the docking bay. The ships waited, engines humming softly. As they boarded the transport vessel, Baba Yaga reminded them, "The Empire thinks it controls the galaxy. They are wrong. They have never faced humans like us. We adapt, we outthink, and we fight for life itself." As the transport ship lifted off and approached the Empire flagship, tension gripped the squad. Lights flickered in the distance. Patrol drones moved in unpredictable patterns, and the flagship loomed larger with each second. But Baba Yaga's calm steadied them. She had already hacked the security systems. Alarms would be delayed. Doors would respond to her commands. Every risk had been calculated. Inside the flagship, the 5 women still held captive waited in separate cells. Each had adapted to survive. They whispered to themselves, shared small gestures of encouragement, and memorized every detail of their confinement. The Empire thought they were broken, but humanity never surrendered its spirit. Suddenly, alarms blared, not at the prisoners' cells, but in corridors far from them. A small explosion rocked the ship as one of Baba Yaga's diversions hit. Security systems went offline. Guards scrambled, disoriented and confused. Baba Yaga's squad moved silently, blending with shadows, using the Empire's own corridors and patrols against them. Mara, held in a central cell, heard faint mechanical clicks outside her door. The lock disengaged. She froze, heart pounding. A shadow moved in the corridor, sleek, deliberate. The figure stepped into her cell, and she recognized the legend herself. "Baba Yaga," she whispered, a mixture of awe and relief in her voice. Baba Yaga nodded. "No time. Stay close, follow my lead, and trust your instincts. Humanity survives because we act together." One by one, the other women were released. Baba Yaga's team coordinated movements with precision. Doors were unlocked, drones disabled, and patrols avoided, not by luck but by calculation and cunning. Every prisoner freed became part of the operation, adding strength to the human network inside the ship. As they moved through the corridors, small acts of rebellion multiplied. Prisoners who could manipulate even simple consoles did so, opening doors or creating distractions. Soldiers were trapped in their own systems, forced to deal with malfunctions and false reports. Baba Yaga had turned the Empire's technology into a weapon against itself. Outside the cells, the Empire's commander watched in growing panic. Reports flooded in. Prisoners missing, alarms malfunctioning, patrols defeated by unseen forces. "How is this possible?" he shouted. "We are the strongest force in the galaxy. Nothing should stop us." But the Empire had underestimated one thing: humanity's ingenuity. Humans did not rely solely on strength. They relied on brains, courage, and creativity. Every misstep by the Empire was anticipated. Every assumption they made was exploited. Baba Yaga led the squad and the rescued prisoners to the docking bay. Guards patrolled in groups, expecting direct confrontation. Baba Yaga used shadows, misdirection, and environmental hazards to avoid them. A power conduit was released, sending sparks and smoke across the corridor, temporarily blinding sensors. Guards stumbled, confused, and panicked. Humans thrived in chaos, and chaos was now their ally. The transport ships waited silently. As the squad boarded with the prisoners, alarms erupted across the flagship. The Empire realized the strike was not just a raid, it was a message. Humans were unpredictable. Humans fought for each other. Humans would never be controlled. As they lifted off, Baba Yaga surveyed the fleet below. Explosions and system failures spread like wildfire, though she did not create destruction for the sake of violence. Every disruption was precise, strategic, and aimed at ensuring success without unnecessary loss of life. Humans valued life, especially their own. Jackson Holt monitored the operation from the human base. "They're in," he said quietly. "They're all in, and the Empire doesn't know what hit them." Inside the transport, Mara held her belly, feeling her child move. The weight of survival pressed on her, yet hope filled her. "We are free," she whispered. "And we will survive. Humanity always survives." Baba Yaga's voice echoed across the transport. "This is only the beginning. The Empire thought it could control us. It cannot. Every act of courage, every clever strike reminds them, humans are relentless. Humans adapt. Humans are unstoppable when we fight together." As the transport ship returned to the hidden base, the 5 rescued women shared their stories. They described guards who had underestimated them, systems that had failed, and moments when hope had seemed lost but never truly gone. Each story added to the legend of human resilience, and the tale of Baba Yaga became more than myth. She was a symbol, a human force that could not be contained, predicted, or defeated. The Empire, however, was in full panic. Fleets were being recalled, prisoners were lost, and morale plummeted. Soldiers whispered in fear of unseen enemies. Officers argued over failed strategies and impossible anomalies. Humanity had struck, and the psychological impact was as important as the physical. The Empire had learned that humans were more than flesh and bone. They were clever, determined, and unbreakable in spirit. Back on the human base, a celebration was quiet but meaningful. Rescued prisoners reunited, sharing hugs, tears, and smiles. Every life saved was a victory. Every freed prisoner was proof that humanity's ingenuity and courage could overcome even the most formidable enemy. Baba Yaga addressed the gathered humans, her figure calm but commanding. "The Empire has weapons, fleets, and power, but humans have something stronger: intelligence, courage, and the will to protect our future. We strike not for revenge but for survival. We fight smart and we fight together. That is how we win." The rescued women, now safe, looked around at the faces of those who had never met them, but had risked everything for freedom. They realized that humanity's greatest strength was not technology, armies, or ships. It was unity, resilience, and cleverness. As night fell across the hidden base, signals from liberated colonies began to arrive. Systems previously under Empire control had been turned against them. Communication networks were open. Supplies were freed. Small human fleets moved with coordination and intelligence. The galaxy had begun to notice a new power: unpredictable, cunning, and relentless humans fighting for survival. Baba Yaga looked at the stars beyond the base. The Empire was powerful, but their arrogance was their weakness. Humans could never be fully controlled. They could never be truly predicted. And when pushed to the edge, they fought with every ounce of their creativity, intelligence, and courage. The next strike would come swiftly. The next disruption would be precise. Humanity had tasted freedom and learned the power of its own ingenuity. The Empire had experienced the first true blow, but many more were coming. And in every human heart, the legend of Baba Yaga grew, the American boogeyman who strikes when least expected, clever beyond imagination, unstoppable in determination. The 5 women, now resting and safe, shared one thought: humanity had awakened. And once awakened, it would never bow again. The Empire's nightmare was far from over. Every ship, every prison, every colony held the potential for clever strikes, for ingenious plans, for human victories. Baba Yaga and her operatives had proven it. No system, no soldier, no empire could contain the will, courage, and intelligence of humanity when it fought for survival and freedom. The galaxy had changed. The Empire, once a symbol of unstoppable power, now trembled before the unpredictability of humanity. Its fleets were scattered, its soldiers fearful, and its officers doubting every decision. Yet the humans themselves were just beginning to realize their full strength. Every strike, every rescue, and every act of courage had built toward one undeniable truth: humans were clever, resilient, and unstoppable when united. Baba Yaga stood at the edge of a cliff on a small asteroid base, overlooking the field where liberated prisoners trained. The 5 women she had rescued, Mara, Lena, Aisha, and 2 others, were helping to coordinate defenses and train other humans in survival and combat strategy. The children they carried symbolized hope, the future of humanity, and the reason why no one would ever bow to the Empire again. Jackson Holt approached, maps and data in hand. "The Empire is in chaos," he reported. "Colonies are rebelling. Fleets are in disarray. They are trying to regroup, but they don't understand what they face. Humanity has shown them intelligence and courage they cannot predict." Baba Yaga nodded. "This is only the beginning. The Empire's arrogance is their weakness. We strike strategically, we fight smart, and we fight together. Their technology is strong, but human spirit is stronger." Across the galaxy, scattered fleets of human pilots prepared for coordinated strikes. Communication was secret, silent, and precise. Each operation was a demonstration of human ingenuity. Supply lines were cut, patrols ambushed, and high-security facilities sabotaged. Every victory was careful, planned, and efficient. Humans did not waste lives, they maximized cleverness and strategy. Inside a flagship, the Empire commander sat in his command room, grim and silent. Reports from across the galaxy confirmed the growing human resistance. His fleet had suffered more losses in a week than they had in years. He clenched his fists. "How can humans be so clever?" he muttered. His soldiers had numbers, weapons, and technology, but humans had adaptability and cunning, the one thing the Empire could never fully predict or control. Meanwhile, the 5 women who had been rescued became central figures in the human resistance. Mara coordinated supply lines, ensuring that every liberated colony received food, medicine, and information. Lena oversaw communication networks, using her skills to spread news of victories and warnings of danger. Aisha trained fighters, emphasizing strategy over brute force. Each woman demonstrated that humanity's greatest strength was its ability to adapt, survive, and innovate. Baba Yaga, meanwhile, prepared the most daring strike yet. Intelligence indicated that the Empire's top commanders were gathering on a fortress planet in the Gamma sector. If the humans could disrupt their planning, they could cripple the Empire's ability to respond for months, perhaps years. But the mission was dangerous. The planet was heavily fortified, and any mistake could mean disaster. Yet Baba Yaga was calm. She gathered her squad and explained the plan. "We do not rush blindly. We analyze, we anticipate, and we act when the moment is right. The Empire believes it controls the galaxy. But humans are unpredictable. They have never faced a force like ours. We strike with intelligence, courage, and unity. That is how humans win." The squad departed in stealth ships, gliding silently through space toward the fortress planet. Sensors were hacked, patrols avoided, and communications jammed. Humanity's approach was methodical, precise, and clever. Every move was designed to minimize risk while maximizing impact. Inside the fortress, the Empire's commanders felt the tension. Reports of sabotage, infiltration, and resistance poured in from multiple sectors. "This cannot be happening," the chief officer said. "Humans are clever but not invincible. We have technology, fleets, and soldiers. How can they keep striking us?" But the Empire did not understand one fundamental truth. Humans never give up. Humans fight for survival, for each other, and for the future. They are clever, creative, and fearless when the stakes are highest. Baba Yaga and her squad infiltrated the fortress. Using shadows, misdirection, and precise strikes, they disabled critical systems. Alarms were misdirected to empty corridors. Guards found doors locked or open unpredictably. Every step the humans took further disrupted the Empire's operations without unnecessary bloodshed. Humans valued life, especially their own. Meanwhile, communications across the galaxy broadcast success after success. Colonies that had been under strict Empire control sent signals of rebellion. Supply chains collapsed. Soldiers muttered about ghostly intruders, unseen saboteurs, and impossible events. Humanity had become a force the Empire could not control. On the fortress planet, Baba Yaga led her team to the command center. The Empire commanders were in disarray, trying to regain control. Baba Yaga disabled their systems silently, using their own technology against them. Screens went black, communication links failed, and doors locked automatically. The Empire realized too late that humans had turned their greatest strength into weakness. The 5 women, watching from the hidden base, coordinated human resistance across multiple sectors. Their intelligence, courage, and determination proved that even those once considered vulnerable could lead humanity to victory. Every act of courage inspired more humans to join the fight, creating a network of resistance that could not be crushed. Baba Yaga and her squad exited the fortress undetected, leaving confusion and chaos behind. They had struck fear into the hearts of the Empire, not through brute force but through strategy, intelligence, and human ingenuity. The Empire learned that strength alone could never defeat a species that adapted, fought for its future, and refused to be predictable. Back on the asteroid base, Mara, Lena, Aisha, and the others celebrated quietly. They knew that their actions had changed the galaxy. Freed prisoners shared stories of hope and courage. Colonies were liberated. Humanity's spirit had become unstoppable. Baba Yaga looked at the stars knowing the legend would live on. She was not a ghost, not a myth. She was proof that humans fight smart, fight together, and fight for life itself. The Empire's remaining fleets retreated, reorganizing in fear of further strikes. For the first time, humans were no longer running. They were leading. Every liberated colony, every rescued prisoner, every successful strike proved that humanity could not be contained, predicted, or broken. Baba Yaga turned to the 5 women. "This is your victory as well," she said. "You survived, you led, and you inspired. Humanity's strength is not just in its weapons or technology. It is in its courage, intelligence, and unity." Mara smiled, feeling the life inside her. "We fought for our future," she said, "and humanity will never bow again." Across the galaxy, signals of rebellion and resistance multiplied. Human fleets moved with intelligence and precision. Colonies communicated freely. The Empire's control weakened with every passing hour. Humanity had not only survived, they had unleashed themselves, proving that cleverness, courage, and unity were more powerful than any fleet or weapon. The legend of Baba Yaga, the American Boogeyman, spread far and wide. Soldiers whispered her name in fear. Children spoke of her in awe. Colonists across the galaxy took inspiration from her deeds. She was not just a hero. She was a symbol of human ingenuity, unpredictability, and the indomitable will to fight. As the sun rose over the asteroid base, casting light across the training grounds and living quarters, humanity looked forward to a new era. The galaxy had witnessed the rise of a species that would no longer bow to fear or tyranny. Humans were clever, resourceful, and resilient. Humans fought for life, for freedom, and for each other. And when humanity fought together, there was no force in the galaxy that could stop them. Baba Yaga watched the stars, a quiet smile on her face. The Empire had learned a lesson it would never forget. Humans are clever, unpredictable, and unstoppable. Legends are born in moments like these, and humanity had proven that even in the darkest hour, no power can break the human spirit. The 5 women stood with her, united in purpose and spirit. They had survived the impossible, inspired countless others, and shaped the course of history. Humanity had risen. Humanity had fought. Humanity had won.